Peace and grand rising to the sovereign, original, indigenous, natural, divine heirs. Today is January 14th, 1441 on the moon calendar and 2021 on the Greco-Roman calendar.
So do you get your VA benefits still?
We just one moment.
You still get your VA benefits. Tell everybody.
Hold on for just a moment. Let me take out the trash.
Yeah, tell everybody that you get your VA benefits from
There you go. I see where he is. You're out of here. So this is an important day for us, a very important day for us. The first thing we want to do right off the bat today is we want to bring forth and open up the United States Bank and Treasury, the original, indigenous, natural, divine, sovereign United States Treasury and its bank. The Treasury and the bank. And let me just say really quickly that the fake court, the United States Corporation Company and all of its fakery, all they did was hypothecate the originals. And they did that all the way across the board. So everything you see out there that is a court, there is an original in red in all lowercase letters. And so what we want to do today is I want to read to you the first section of the charter for the United States Bank and the Treasury so that you will know. And the only reason I'm reading only the first section is because the other sections I'm still tweaking them so that they can be reviewed and seen by you all. And anything that you don't, and this is the beauty of this, anything that you don't care for or don't want, all you do is just opt out. In other words, just don't participate in it. But we have to get moving in this area because we've all been waiting for this next step to take place. So listen to the charter, the first part of it, and then we'll be bringing up the next parts, the next sections of it over the next few calls so that we can all hear what's going on and know that no one but the sovereign is in control of the vast estate, and each one of us is in control of our own vast estate. And no other sovereigns, no organization, no one can take that from us, each and all. So I'm going to put on the screen, this is the law to proclaim the restoration and opening of the universal sovereign, original, indigenous, natural, divine, living, Moorish American corpus sanctum that is the universal, original, indigenous, natural, divine, United States Bank and Treasury in red in all lowercase letters, that is in capitis diminutio nolo, in propria persona sui juris, in proprio solo, and in proprio heredes. No United States Corporation Company citizen, nor their agents, principals, heirs, nor assigned has personam jurisdiction over the United States, the living United States Bank, nor its Treasury, and any derivatives thereof of the United States Corporation Company are notwithstanding. So let's go into here just what this is, exactly what it is. Whereas it is known that the establishment of a universal living bank for the sovereign, living, original, indigenous nations and governments that are the unincorporated United States upon a foundation supremely extensive to answer the purposes intended hereby, and at the same time upon the principles which afford sovereign security for an upright and prudent ministry thereof, is now conducive to the successful conducting of the national finances. Said sovereign bank establishment shall convey allodial exchanges, which are sovereign exchanges that can consist of gold-backed commercial exchanges or grants or gifts, etc., or all of the above, for government use, and all Moors are the government, and shall be productive of considerable advantages to sovereign exchange, trade, and industry in general. And in layman's terms, what that means is that we are agreeing to open the United States Bank. It is gold backed. There is no fiat involved at all on any level. And in fact, we have to agree not to use fiat for this bank and this bank's purposes. But that's constitutional anyway. So that's what anything that has to do with the United States Bank is all about. So let's go into Section 1. Section 1. Be it enacted by the Sovereign Congress for the living United States of America hereby assembled on this Thursday, 14 January, in the year 1441 on the moon calendar and 2021 on the Greco-Roman calendar, that a sovereign gold and silver-backed bank for the universal, original, indigenous, natural, divine, Moorish American United States is hereby restored and reestablished. The sovereign primary physical inventory whereof shall not exceed 100 million USD, that's 100 million gold-backed United States dollars, or 100 million MSD, that's 100 million gold-backed Moorish sovereign dollarium, without further notification to the sovereign bank heirs. And what that's saying is that the physical inventory that you can actually see and feel and touch, once the printing begins, will not exceed 100 million in gold-backed sovereign dollarium or gold-backed United States dollars, or a combination of both, without notifying you all, the sovereign bank heirs, all of us. We're all sovereign bank heirs. A sovereign bank heir is defined as a proclaimed universal, original, indigenous, natural, divine, Moorish American who agrees to use the United States bank services. The sovereign principal currency for the United States Bank and its sovereign gold-backed United States Treasury is the sovereign gold-backed universal United States dollar, which is equal at 1-to-1 with the original indigenous sovereign gold-backed Moorish American national currency, the Moorish sovereign dollarium. Said currencies are backed by the sovereign original indigenous living natural Moorish American resources, to include gold and silver in alignment with the sovereign supreme law for the land. The United States Treasury is the primary account for the United States Bank. The United States Bank has been since time immemorial and is hereby restored and opened at North America, Northwest A Mexum, the North Gate, Ancient Morocco, Al Morocco, Maghreb Al-Aqsa, Asia, Gaia, and Northwest Africa. The gold-backed United States dollars and the gold-backed Moorish sovereign dollarium has been and shall continue to be placed in the United States Bank by the said sovereign bank heirs by the heirs' sovereign agreement to do so. On the third Thursday, which is the 21st of January, 1441 on the moon calendar and 2021 on the Greco-Roman calendar, the Universal Sovereign Original Indigenous Natural Divine Moorish American United States Bank and the Universal Sovereign Original Indigenous Natural Divine Moorish American United States Treasury shall hereby be opened near the Federal Way, Washington Territory at Universal National Area Code 4S3 WQV KV5 under the direction of the people who are the Universal Sovereign, Original Indigenous, Natural Divine, Moorish National Republic, Federal Government, the Universal Sovereign, Original Indigenous, Natural Divine, de jure Moorish American Consulate, and the Universal Sovereign, Original Indigenous, Natural Divine, United States Court. This Treasury is under the authority of the sovereign people who are the living Moorish National Republic Federal Government. All in agreement with the opening of the Universal Sovereign, Original Indigenous, Natural Divine, Unincorporated United States Bank and its Universal Sovereign, Original Indigenous, Natural Divine, United States Treasury can at this time say aye, and all opposed say nay.
Aye. 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 Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Aye.
Islam.
Aye.
Islam.
Aye.
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 Aye. Islam. Islam.
I yield B.
Aye. Islam. 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 Do we hear any nays? Okay, Islam. So, and I am actually going to make sure that I unmute everyone so that everyone will be able to speak. For those who may not know, *6 is the unmute button. So let me go ahead and unmute everyone so that we can make sure that we hear from everyone.
Islam.
Islam. Okay. Perfect.
So if we do get some thoughts to
Islam.
what's going on after inauguration, then I can see that.
Okay.
I do feel that
these are the ayes or the nays, whichever you choose.
every time you just do our survey.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Islam.
Going on.
Islam.
Aye.
Aye. And that's
Islam.
Aye.
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 yeah.
Okay. I believe that's a majority. I'm going to go ahead and if there's anyone, Islam, yes. In fact, I'm sure that is a majority here with what we have, with the numbers that we have here. That is a majority. So the United States Bank and the United States Treasury are hereby open. At the will of the sovereign, original, indigenous, natural divine people. So now, from this point, we're going to be tweaking the other sections that come with it and discussing it over the next few phone calls that we have. But you all know how we all have been doing things where we, the sovereigns have the first and the last word on all that concerns them because we're all sovereign. And this is the next step so that we can get the heirs, so that the heirs can get for themselves what they need. Okay? We're only doing what needs to be done because it had not been done previously. And the reason we called it, because someone asked me why United States Treasury and United States Bank. And the answer to that is because, number one, that is what our ancestors started that in red in all lowercase letters. long, long, long before the Albion foreign hybrids ever got here. And when the hybrids got here, they got their orders to capitalize it so they could do whatever they're doing. But at any time, we could wake up and shut that down like we've done. So from this point, what we're doing is integrating sovereign creditor instruments from the United States Treasury into our demonstration so that we can show that a competent commercial exchange has taken place on the public record. Now, the sovereign gold dollarium and the sovereign gold dollars that are going to be applied to these instruments, it comes straight out of your trust, so you don't, and you all are going to be writing the instrument. So no one else is writing an instrument for you. You're writing it for yourself out of your own trust, and then placing it on the public record for whatever it is that you need. The documents that accompany the sovereign instruments, and we're going to put a template of the United States instrument out there for you to see. We'll do that over the next few calls that we have. We'll put it out there because you all need to get copies of that instrument, but before you use the instrument, you have to already have terminated corporate contracts on the public record, because you can't be sovereign and a citizen at the same time. And then when it comes to things like domiciles, with the domiciles, and we talked about this the last couple of calls in preparation for today, for what we're doing today, or what we've already done today. This Congress here, and that's Congress with a K, not with a C. It's Congress with a K and an E on the end. This sovereign Congress is going to be doing demonstrations where, and the judiciary, the two judiciaries that I'm doing these demonstrations with, so that we see how the demonstrations go, see how they turn out first, so that we can report back to you on, you know, this is what happened to me, this is what happened when I did this is what happened when I did that. And that's not anything anyone can't do. All Moors can do demonstrations and come back and talk about the results of their demonstrations, like they did with sovereign credit instruments. When we first put the sovereign credit instrument out there, Moors took them to these banks and everything. And those who did that demonstration, not a single one of them was charged with anything, you know, they didn't even charge the corpses with fraud, because they know we're the heirs, and, you know, no one got in any trouble or anything like that with competent demonstration of the sovereign credit instruments that we put out before, in preparation for what we're doing now. So there are 5 documents that we should all be competent to demonstrate before, you know, that a United States Treasury cashier's check, that's where they got the original cashier's check from, and I'll explain that shortly. But whenever you make a check out, it's going to always accompany the same 5 documents and then some additional documents. And we'll be doing a video on those documents, but we named them before. I'll name them again now. In order to use the United States Treasury cashier's check, and again, cashier is spelled C-A-I-S-S-I-E-R. It's French, and it means a check from a bank. And we all know we're the bank. We know that already. And so there's a couple of lines that are coming up a little bit on the noise meter, so I want to make sure that everybody can hear. So I'm going to mute those lines. There's a couple that's coming up. But again, those who have any comments or questions about this that we just did, and the things that we're talking about right now, feel free to star 6 in just a moment. I'll open the floor for questions in a moment. But this process, the 5 things that are needed prior that you would attach a United States Treasury cashier's check to and check is spelled C-H-E-Q-U-E. It's not like the fake fraudulent feudal stuff. It's in ancient English, which means that it's what we intend for it to mean. The 5 documents are, number 1, the name change in judicial proclamation in red in all lowercase letters. And we've gone over those documents, but again, we'll show actual, I'll put my actual documents in the video that I'm going to put together for these documents. So the name change in judicial proclamation is the first set of documents. The next set is a termination of all corporate contracts in red in all lowercase letters. And the only time you use black ink and capital letters is when you are referring to the corpses. That's the second document, is the termination of corporate contracts. Right after nationality, we're cutting the cord and pulling the straw out of our neck. The third is at least 1 lien, and that lien can be on any, whatever it is that you're liening. But the lien should be in anticipation of or in connection with whatever you're going to use the instrument for. For example, and I'll show in the video that I'm going to do most likely tomorrow or day after tomorrow. It'll be done before our next call, which is on Sunday. The lien should be, for example, if you're going to place something on the public record with regard to a domicile, you want to lien the fakes, any fakes that have any attachments that are claiming anything that has to do with the domicile. So going to the tax assessor records and pulling that up and liening everybody on there, including the tax assessor, along with policy enforcers, fire department, and everybody. They all have to be liened so that they don't come showing up and trying to charge anything. The Moorish government, which is all of us, we are taking care of our own stuff. Okay, so the termination of corporate contracts, and then a lien on whatever, in red, in all lowercase letters, on whatever it is that you're writing the instrument for. The fourth document is going to be that everyone should do a court action where you take the lien document that you've done and you look at everybody that's on that lien, and it's practically a copy and paste. Okay, everybody that you lien, you call them into court so that you exercise jurisdiction over them before they attempt to do that. Because that's all they've been doing, is attempting to exercise jurisdiction over the Moors who they do not have jurisdiction over. And then when you do the court action, okay, then the fifth thing, and the fifth thing can also be the first or second thing, you know, actually the second thing.
Turn right on 7 Mile Road.
Which is a proclamation of trust. So you don't need to put your actual trust out there. That's your own private business. And when I say private, I mean private in red and all lowercase letters, not like the sovereign citizen, which is no such thing as a sovereign citizen, but they've been using private and public, so to speak, quote unquote. Not like that. But it's something that you keep and hold dear to you, is your trust. But then you do a one-page declaration or proclamation of trust. So all it says is, I do have a trust, and it's a sovereign, original, indigenous trust. And it's, you know, and you do that on Moorish government letterhead. Okay. And then those are the 5 things that you do. And then the 6th is the instrument plus some other things that go with the instrument. For example, with domiciles, there's 3 things that you need for number 6 to go with the instrument that you're going to create from the Treasury. An indemnis facier is like the insurance for the domicile. So the indemnis facier affidavit will simply say that my domicile is all services for the domicile are going to be taken care of by the heirs, by the Moorish National Republic Federal Government, which is all of us. Okay? And that fire services, police services, security services, everything, the Moorish National Republic Federal Government is taking care of all of that, which is all of us. We're our own police so that they don't have to come at all for anything. And, you know, just like we were talking about before the recording started, one of the heirs was asking a question about that they had filled out something with the fake court because someone, you know, close to them had done something and they swore out a warrant on them. Well, those kinds of things we cannot do if we're going to start using the Treasury, the United States Treasury, which is in red in all lowercase letters, the heirs. Those kinds of things we cannot do because that would be recontracting with them, with the fake, and then that gives them consent to come and kick doors in and do all types of madness on sovereign property. So the heirs have to be honorable and keep in alignment with the Constitution and the treaty, in alignment, not under it, because we're not under anything. We are above all. All sovereigns are above all. And we're above all together. So we can't be calling the fakes for anything because, believe it or not, and this is not even a belief situation, all you have to do is turn on a computer, they're being defunded because we're standing. But we need to stand so that the violations and atrocities on our land can stop. So we have to stand up and be sovereign heirs. And this is the way to do it. This is one way of many ways to do it. You know, the things that we are saying, these are, again, you can't tell sovereigns what to do, so we just make suggestions through our study and through what we're seeing and what we know is to be true, because we've done the demonstration. And so with regard to those documents, the indemnis facier is saying that we're taking care of everything and we don't need United States Corporation Company services. So whatever they would have done in the past, we're doing it. Keep in mind now that that falls right in alignment with what we called previously, or what we thought were, public services, where utilities and all of that is concerned. And so all we're doing is just manifesting what we've been saying. We're the heirs to everything. We don't have any debt, and we're not going to make any debt by signing contracts with debtors. We're going to do what we came here to do, which is move straight into our vast estate. Stand up time. And so the indemnis facier and and the moorishe tax assessor statement. The moorishe tax assessor statement is you, the heirs, we already know that we don't pay taxes. We are not taxed at all, ever. And so the moorishe tax assessor statement is simply saying we're the tax assessor. And for our property is not taxed as long as we say it's not taxed. That's going to do away with the tax assessors, the fakes that have been pretending to be the tax assessor and have been unlawfully assessing tax on property that does not belong to them. So we're basically just creating a space and then filling that space with sovereign status. That's what we're doing. That's the only way that we can continue to be ourselves on our own land, is we have to tell the fakes, we don't need you anymore, we got it. And believe it or not, we've been paying for everything anyway. Some of us, you know, ended up behind bars, you know, unlawfully, of course, paying for stuff because they needed a sandwich. Well, enough of that. It's a wrap. You know, I don't know about you all, but that's not necessary. It's not necessary. So they're fired, and we will take care of what we need to take care of. And then we will do what our ancestors did. If something happened, we all rallied around whoever it was that had something going on, and we assisted them. And we made sure everybody was taken care of. It's the village, that village consciousness, where it takes a village to raise heirs, really. And so that's where we're going with all of this. So the Moorish tax assessor statement just says, this is sovereign property and it's not taxed. And we're the tax assessor, so we get to say it's not taxed, so we don't need anyone else coming in talking about they're a tax assessor. We're the gold-backed tax assessor. Okay? And then the sovereign living title. Sovereign, you can call it ab-original and keep those two separate. When you say ab, space, original, that would be competent, because if you put those two together, then it changes the meaning of ab, and ab becomes not original when we are the original. But if you separate it, ab by itself means from the original or of the original. Okay. Allodial, sovereign, and I usually just put original title because our bloodline hasn't changed for trillions of years. We still have the same bloodline because the same sovereign mother and sovereign stargate has been birthing the heirs. And so the sovereign living title on Moorish government letterhead. Now, just a couple of things about step 6. The sovereign creditor, the United States Treasury instrument that we all are going to be using and placing on the public record to show that we're properly accounting for the estate. Because that's what competent heirs are actually able to do, is give an accounting of everything in their in their trust. That's the purpose of the check. The United States Treasury check is to say, I know how much my trust is worth. So if I have a domicile, I can look on that tax assessor, whatever the fakes were claiming, and just put that in gold. And then the value becomes that in gold, which is going to significantly increase the value of our land and our vast estate. Simply by saying, instead of it being fiat, it's gold. So if you have a domicile and it's 150,000, quote unquote, U.S., Federal Reserve debt note on the tax assessor report, well, that's not really it. It's sovereign property, and in sovereign gold-backed lawful coinage, it's 150,000 in gold, which is significantly more than 150,000 in debt, Federal Reserve debt note. And so we are increasing the value of our estate simply by demonstrating who we are and putting it on the public record that we know how much our estate is worth. And then for those who are in apartments and condominiums, et cetera, you need to do the same process, lien, court action, sovereign instrument on the whole complex, the whole thing. Do the study on it. These are suggestions for those willing to do the study so that you can claim the whole thing too. And then see what they say the value of the whole thing is, because most of them are quote unquote up for sale. See what they say is the value and make that value be the value in gold of your United States Treasury check. And then upload it to the Moorishe American Consulate Public Records page and publish it wherever you feel you want to publish it. And notify all of those involved that a sovereign exchange has taken place between you, the Treasury, and the United States Bank. And so what you want to do, when you see the instrument, the template for the instrument, it's going to have 3 sovereign autographs. They must be sovereign. In other words, it has to be declared Moors that sign that autograph with you. So you're the sovereign creditor who is doing the sovereign exchange, and the bank is simply just checking to see if everything on the list is there, if 1 through 5 or 1 through 6 is there. And 1 through 6, and it's not an approval process because we already have it in our trust. So when 1 through 6 is there, you know, and we're going to be sharpening each other and making sure each other stays sharp with everything that we do. And when 1 through 6 is there, then the bank can get the Treasury to actually issue the funds, and the Treasury will just print out the check. And again, all Moors are going to have access to, because you all have to do this for each other. So at some point, all of you are going to be the Treasury. At some point, all of you are going to be the bank. And at some point, all of you are going to be the sovereign creditor who sees the property and wants the property and is going to do something to gain do this process to gain the profit. But this process is the exact same process that the fakes did. They did it over our heads while we were asleep. And that's how they were able to make us think that they had a valid claim, is that one of them was saying, I'm the British, and one of them was saying, well, I'm the American, and then another one was saying, well, I'm the Federal Reserve Bank. And we're going to capitalize everything we see here and put capital letters and make it up and fraudulent and hypothecate and make it look like it's valid. And then we need somebody to be the tax assessor. But see, with the sovereigns, we can be all of that at any given time. And that's why we're able to assist one another in this process. And wear different hats because our sovereign status allows us to do that. The land belongs to us. So this is going to be our suggested domicile process. We are doing the same process as everybody else. And so that is how we're going to proceed with all of that, and then placing it on the public record. And this is one thing I do know about this process, is that we've done everything. On some properties, we've done everything except issue that check. For example, when the Moors came here on October 31st, I showed them a property. I took them to a property here that has our ancient buildings on it. And the buildings are covered for the most part, but you can still see it's limestone, and you know it's the building. It's one of ours. You know it's ancient. And I took them to one of the buildings, and I showed them some photos where I had, they had, the courtes had put a gigantic, 2 big for sale signs on this piece of land, 2 giant for sale signs. And they were almost billboard size, just about. So what I did was, and I don't advise anyone to do this. Please don't do this, you know, unless the ancestors tell you to do it. But what I did was I sent them commands to appear in court. I liened the property. I created a title to the property. And I painted over their sign in red, because that's what we use is red. Okay, so I painted over the sign so that no one could see who was selling it. And again, these are things that, you know, because there's court actions and liens in place, I was not afraid, because they know and I know and we know that the property belongs to the heirs, because all property belongs to the heirs. I called them into court, and so they took the signs down for a while, for about a few weeks, maybe 2 weeks. They left the titles up there on the sign, first of all, until after the court date. So they took I had placed both the court action and the title on the sign after I painted it over in red. And they came and took just the court action down and left the title on the sign until after the court date. And when I did the court action, and the court action is out on YouTube, when I did the court action, they waited about 2 weeks, and then they took everything down and put up new for sale signs. Well, they didn't, like, there was no, you know, no policy enforcers and all of that stuff involved, simply because they know we're right. But at that time, we had not done this process here where we do the commercial exchange. And we're not giving them anything, just so that you're aware, we're not giving them anything. All we're doing is, here we're doing the same process that I just told you. A couple of the moors will be the Treasury, and a couple of the moors will be the bank. And then the instrument will be created based on the value of the property. And then I'll put that on the public record. And again, it's everything is already on the public record, except the instrument. And when I put the instrument on the public record, I'm going to hand deliver everything to whoever it is in the territory, because we are our own post office too. So we're delivering our own mail out here, our own parcels, so that they're not touched by, you know, it doesn't have to go into the United States. It stays at Maghrib Al-Aqsa. And then the ones that go to other places, like if it's something leaving our territory here and that needs to go all the way on the other coast, for now we will use the post office process that we put out there on the public record, so that we don't pay for the postage until we can get to the place where we can take our own mail back and forth. Okay, so that nothing that we do is corrupted. And the ancestors have been generous with us and giving us the opportunity to come together and decide that, okay, we're going to govern our own stuff. We want our own land. We're governing everything that belongs to us. And so they're giving us an opportunity to do that. And leaving just the bare minimum of those services while we stand. And then once we get standing, those services are out of here. And as you all very well know, those services are preparing to leave already, because we're doing what we're doing right now. And to me, I wouldn't have it any other way. I want us to be doing everything that has to do with our estate, everything. Because we've been doing it anyway. It's just that we've been doing it thinking we were U.S. citizens. We have Moors that have been fire chiefs and chiefs of police, quote unquote, and all of that in the court status, you know. We've had all of that. We've all been, at one point or another, something in that corporate system where we were actually governing our own estate at that time, not knowing that that's what we were doing. So I want to open up for questions or comments or anything. I would love to hear, and thank you for your congressional agreement that we open our own bank. I'm excited about that because we need it so that we can move on. We need to move on. We need to move. There's some things we need on our land. Moors need domiciles. Moors need, you know, we need everything that's on our land, and we're the ones who have to minister those things to one another. So Are there any questions? You can star 6 to unmute. Questions or comments about any of that?
Islam.
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 Go ahead, Empress Chitali, and then Justice Travis.
I had a question about us having a notice of existence or some kind of intro to our article of recourse. Is there any documents like that?
A notice of existence?
Yes, or some kind of notification or declaration of us using an article of recourse.
Yes. So we did a notice of existence of the Moorish American Consulate back in 2018. And that notice of existence was introducing the consular court and the consulate to all, and the Moorish National Republic federal government. But the government's always been, so we didn't really have to introduce the government, but we did anyway. And we do have a notice of existence that did go out to, and we tracked it to all 50-some quote-unquote doing business as governors. And then many more blanketed the fake courts with that while we were setting up our consular courts and beginning to do court action. So we do have that.
Okay. And I'm asking because I have a website, to govern the Khalifa territory. So I wanted to put that. I wanted to upload it to the website. Yes. Yes. So
I'm excited about that. About all websites that talk about Moorish government and all of that. I'm loving it. Thank you. Yeah. So how can I help, Empress?
So
what do you need from me?
I would like to find that document. I need some assistance in finding that document so that I can put it on the website.
Okay.
Yes.
Does anyone still have the notice of existence? I have it. I just wondered if anyone else had either seen it or still has it. The notice
I have
of existence. It. You do?
Yes.
Can you send it to Empress Chitali?
Okay. So her email is right there. Okay, I'll do it.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Bam, right there. Yes. And it does need to be decapitalized, I'm pretty sure, Empress Chitali. So that's something that can be done before you put it on the thing. It needs to be because when we first started, we did not. The ancestors had not given us the all red in all lowercase letters piece. However, the ancestors honored still our work in that it caused those state courts to take pause and to take notice that, yes, the heirs are waking up.
Okay, great.
So,
and most importantly, I want to know if that document made it plain how we were using our courts, or were we using it with treaty laws or common law or natural law, because there's so many courts out there. So it's like I want to know if it had that kind of language in there to explain our court we were using,
Yes, it does, and it does. We have known from day one that about the sovereign supreme law of the land and the Constitution and the treaty from day one. We've known about that. If there's one thing that our Consular General, Grand Sheikh Taj Tariq Bey, told us when he agreed to be the Consul General, is he emphasized the treaties and the Constitution as always.
Okay.
So it's in there, definitely in there.
Great, I needed that. Okay, thank you. I yield.
Yes, Islam.
Islam?
Islam.
Empress, you probably went over it once before, but you know, as you know, I retired from the National Football League, and they've been putting pressure on me to take that trust, my portion of it, of my retirement and pension, and I canceled those contracts. So should I just leave that alone at this point?
It's now resources, it's sovereign resources on your own land, you see. And that's the same thing as it is with anything else that we have had. Is those things, they were not giving us anything more. That's stuff that was already ours. The corpses just put their grimy covering over it and pretended to govern it, you know. But all of that belongs to the heirs. So when you terminate the corporate contract and you put that on the public record, now you're not using Federal Reserve debt notes in an account. You're actually using sovereign credit that belong to you anyway. So, you know, for example, those who get VA and disability and all of that, because I heard the subject mentioned something about VA and all of that stuff has been ours. That was ours from day one, you know. It's just that a corporation put their dead corpse on top of it and then pretended to govern it. You know, they don't govern anything. They don't govern nothing. They're not the government. We are.
Islam.
So all we need to do is just, you know, terminate the corporate contracts and here's the thing. You're not signing anything with them where they take something every month, or, you know, you're getting some. Is that how it works, or is it a lump sum, or is it something that's done every month?
They lumped all the professional athletes, the retired players, in together. And what I wanted to do is do a financial audit on the contracts I signed from the time I came into the league till now, and take my portion out of it and set it to the side, because I don't need nobody handing me nothing. Just give me what's mine.
When you get it as sovereign credits as opposed to Federal Reserve debt notes. That looks the same in the bank, except that you control the sovereign credit because you remove the corporate covering off of that account. So, for example, when VA comes in that I earned from being in the military, when that comes in, it's not coming in under the control of the Veterans Administration Corporation. It's coming in under the control of Pauline Denise Ritchie, in capitis diminutio nolo, in propria persona sui juris, in proprio solo, in proprio heredis. And no United States corporation company citizen has personam jurisdiction over me nor any more. Okay? So that's how you want to do the study on what you decide to do with that. Because ultimately the decision is yours. And how you choose to demonstrate it is completely up to you because you're sovereign. And so, you know, do the study and decide what you're going to do. And if you have time, take the time. Just take the time to study it and think it through, and then make your decision on how you want to do it.
Islam.
The ancestors will give you, yes, Islam. The ancestors will tell you exactly what you need to know about how to do that. And in the interim, they're still going to take great care of you. Like they do all of us. They take great care of us while we're standing and looking around and waking up and learning who we are and all of that. They're going to take care of us. They always have and always will. I'll tell you what I was going to tell you, you all initially, before we opened our bank. This is important to me because we're at a really important time. What I'm about to say, the demonstration that I'm doing, many more are very, very afraid to do this demonstration, but there are many more who are not afraid to do it either. So I'll tell you that when I, about on January 1st, and it's out on YouTube, I did a court action on the all caps name and on the subject, Pauline Denise Ritchie, and that social security number, which is all fraud. All of that's fraud. That's not me. So I did a court action on them and sent them to jail. And within 24 hours, the account that is on the on my termination of corporate contracts, they said, we're going to have to freeze this unless you sign a W-9. And if you don't sign and they didn't talk to me about it, but whenever I went to use my card, it wouldn't work, and I wasn't going to call them. So I signed online to see. I signed in, or not signed, but logged into the account to see what was going on, and this sign about a W-9 flashed in front of the screen, and it said, we need to get a W-9. You know, you need to sign a W-9. And I'm not going to sign any contracts with them. I mean, you know what? I'll eat grass if I have to. I'm not signing nothing, okay? So they can keep their little fiat, but they can't keep my sovereign credit. So we're going to do a demonstration where we send them the information that we have right now in terms of all red, all lowercase letters, and we've notified them previously, and that's why they started trying to do what they're attempting to do now. But the thing is, I know it's not them doing it. I know that freezing of it is the ancestors saying, what's next? What are you going to do next? And whenever the ancestors ask a question, they already give you the answer. They have the answer for you already. So I'll let you all know how that goes. See, some were afraid of that happening, but many more don't even have that option because their estate's been stolen and they're living under a bridge and don't have anything anyway in the bank. You know what I'm saying? And one thing I do know is we just opened our own bank. Why do we need theirs? But we know that the sovereign credit in that system belongs to us. That we know for sure. So we're going to do the demonstration and get it. So I'm excited about it, you know. Of course, my first inclination for about 2 seconds was, okay, I just took a deep breath. I said, okay, I guess this is it. This is the real thing. It's been the real thing the whole time. But we get to demonstrate, and I'm not concerned in the least about anything because I still get to eat every day. You know, I still get to eat every day. If I have to go out there and pull stuff off the tree, you all have seen my posts on Facebook where I'm out there getting dandelions and things to eat. You know, but I know that our ancestors will take care of me. So I'm looking forward to doing this demonstration, and it hasn't even been the first demonstration on my list. That one is second. So once I finish doing the video for this demonstration that I just spoke with you all about the domicile demonstration, once I finish that, because this Saturday, Moorish American Consulate West will be coming together to complete that demonstration and create the instrument. And once we do that and make a video for everyone to see, then we'll go back and we'll deal with that other situation where we claim and proclaim the SWIFT system, because we know that's what it is. Those who are in finance know what the SWIFT system is. It's a system if it's in red and all lowercase letters like we've put it, it belongs to us. That system where credits are transferred back and forth. You know, we thought that the foreigners were doing the transferring, but they weren't. It was a system. It's always been a system. And now we're finding out that the foreigners were pretending like they were voting, but they weren't voting. That was a system too. So we are all the way up for doing the demonstration. Looking forward to it, and we will keep you posted on what we do and how it turns out and all of that. I'm very excited about it, and we're finally here. finally here. Another reason I'm excited about that is because I knew they had to do what we said. Remember when we said that if we say that the corpses can't operate on this land and we do a lien and a court action, they have to stop operating. It's proof. We have proof. So we'll keep you posted and let you know how that goes. But I'm excited about it because I already know our ancestors don't take anything without putting the real in its place. Nature abhors a vacuum. Never has let us do without, and they never will. Are there any other questions, comments, etc. about any of that?
Islam. I missed the part about the utilities. Is that going on the indemnis horsey for utilities and cable and all of that?
All we're saying is that the Moorish National Republic federal government is controlling the utilities. Some of you may not remember, some of you may not be old enough to remember, but go back and ask someone that's a little older, maybe 60 or more, 60 years old or more, if they remember public utilities being free, so to speak, free. They weren't really free, we prepaid for them. But public utilities, and we're not the public, we're not that corporate public. The utilities are what's public, not us. And so they were supposed to be free anyway. Not free, but prepaid. So don't use the word free because they're not free. We're prepaying for them. But again, we have an accounting that we must do. How much do we use? Those who have been in the military, you've seen the statements where they send you something that looks like a bill, but on the top of it, it says, this is not a bill, this is just a statement. Okay, we were supposed to be getting statements for everything, heirs. We were never supposed to be getting bills for anything at all. We were supposed to be getting statements that say, you used, 43 kilowatts this month, which came up to 23 credits. This is your statement showing how much you use. This is not a bill. But the corpses came in and switched that all around and took everything. And then started telling us we owe them something. We don't owe them anything. So that's where the utilities piece comes in at, is the people are taking back the utilities. Think about it that way. The utilities were already automated. They were on. Remember, and there was a time where whenever someone moved out of a domicile, the utilities just stayed on until the next person moved in, and then they continued to be on. It's just that billing started when there was a contract. So utilities, when you say that the people who are the living people who are the de jure unincorporated Moorish National Republic federal government are governing all services to include utilities, and then you lien and do a court action on whoever it is, whatever corpse it is in your territory that's claiming that you owe them something for some utilities or that their corpse owes them something for utilities, because we don't owe anything, Moors don't have debt. Then you do a lien and a court action, and when you do the lien and the court action, then you look at it, look at what's there on their fake statements, and then create a sovereign instrument from the United States Treasury. And if your utilities were, let's just say they were $50 a month, 50 quote unquote notes a month, then just do it for 12 months or 24 months and create a United States Treasury instrument, put it on the public record, and then send it to the ones who were claiming to do business as utilities. Except once you lien them and you do a court action, now you're just putting the CEO's name on there, and that's just to let them know who you're talking to, that this goes to that court and that everything is paid for already by the government. So it's almost like if you looked at it from an elementary or an anthropomorphic place, you would say we're all putting ourselves back on public assistance, so to speak, except we're not. We're governing. We're putting ourselves on the government role. And government is the real government. We're the real government. That's the way it was supposed to be.
Islam. Empress, we did the demonstration last year with all the utilities, and I think I spoke to you last year before we did it with Georgia Power. We did the lien, we did the court action, we did everything. And what they did was on a Sunday, they came and turned off, I don't even know if they came, but they turned the electricity off for about 30 seconds, and then they put it back on, and then we were supposed to move with the next part like this for the credits, and then they were fine with it. Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah. See, the processes that the ancestors have been giving us, they've been giving it to us in stages and phases to see, like, are we competent at just plain old, proclaiming our nationality and putting it on the public record and demonstrating it. Then they said, okay, you've done that correctly, nation, Moors. Now terminate the corporate contracts. Let's see if they're bold enough and brave enough to do that and have the competence and peacefulness to do that and know exactly what they're doing. So the Moors have done that, and Moors are still waking up doing it, and that's okay because we can assist them because we've done it. And then the ancestors said, okay, give them the lien process and let them do the lien process where everyone's doing it. Because, see, some Moors were doing the lien process, but more Moors needed to know about it. And, so we just used our platform to make it widespread and to broadcast the lien spell. And then Moors competently were doing liens and demonstrating, et cetera, et cetera. So the ancestors said, okay, give them the court process to put with all those other processes. And we did that. We didn't have a choice, because, policy enforcement knocking on the door, and I'm like, ancestors, what do we do? And they like, okay, you're the court, so call them into court. And then we broadcast that, all of us, and all Moors have been doing it. And those who haven't done it, go out there on YouTube, look at that court action process, and do it. So that you can free yourself, because we don't need to be going to fake courts. We see what happens when we go to fake courts. When we go to fake courts, they don't do right because we're not supposed to be in there. And so now the ancestors are saying, okay, they were saying give them a process where they tell the corporations that there are no bills due. And for some Moors, that works, and then it would work for like 3 months or 6 months or 9 months. And then the corporations will say, okay, there's another step. You all got to get this next step. You got to get the next step. And so now we're at the next step. But we have to take the next step together. And it has to be done competently. And competently just means doing what we did today, where we all agreed to open a bank and then start using our bank. But everything that we do has to be based on what we learned by watching the Europeans govern, quote unquote govern. Because that's what our prophet said. We're going to leave the European here long enough to teach you how to govern. Okay, done. They can go now. So that's what we really were wanting to put forth. And thank you in the chat. I see all the ayes and the yeses and the yays and all of that. I love it, love it, love it. This is beautiful, just beautiful. Let me see. I'd love to count how many yays and yeses and ayes are in the chat. Can somebody count how many ayes are in the chat? just so that we'll know. That's beautiful. Thank you, Moore, so much for that, because we're doing it for ourselves. Nobody else can. So that's how we're going to go about using our bank, and we're going to start right away. Now, let us walk through together, all of us together, the process of even things like conveyances, because I see how we can use our trust to get conveyances, but it has to be done, it's essentially the way we've been doing things, which is, you know, making everything sovereign and allodial, you know, making sure that we don't do anything corporate, putting everything in red and all lowercase letters, putting an indemnis facier. Now, this is important where conveyances are concerned, and we'll walk through this together in the coming weeks. With the conveyances, everything does have to be in red and all lowercase letters. The indemnis facier has to be that. But, and this is why I say we do need to start moving close to each other and coming together. You know, I can't tell Morris to move to this territory, but any Morris who want to move here, I'd be happy if you did. Because there's things that we need to do. Morris who fix conveyances, Morris who do things around, you know, the house as far as, you know, repairs, plumbers, people who can grow food, people who make clothing, people who do administrative work. You know, we need Morris to do everything. We need Morris to do everything. Islam, thank you, Empress Alessandra. We need Morris to do everything. And if we're doing it here together, then we can be the model for the other territories so that they'll know what to do in terms of, like, we got to source the resources from our land. We have to, you know, there's things, and I see ways to do it, but I can't do it all by myself, you know. And there's a few Moors here who are working so hard. I love our West Consulate Moors because they are really just on it. They're competent. They know what they're doing, and they are bold, so they just go for it. We need more Moors, you know, to do more demonstrations here and, you know, to bring their talents to the table so that we can use sovereign credits to do all that we need to do, because we can get everything we need from the estate with what we have, including food and clothing and all of that stuff. We just need the people who know how to do it, you know. So just wanted to put that suggestion out there. And with that, I yield the floor. Are there any other questions or comments or anything like that? I had some other things that I wanted us to go over, which in capitis diminutio nolo and in capitis diminutio minima, etc. I wanted to do a short teaching on that. We'll do that. We'll save that for a future call. But I think this banking piece was most important for us to do today, especially just because it's the right time to do it. We need to do it and get this you know, this whole move to the next level done. So, Islam.
Islam?
Yes, Islam.
The energy piece?
Yes. Oh. Yes. Do you want to say something about that, Empress?
I was actually reminding you, but I will say this, that your paperwork, you could be the most astute Moor. Your paperwork is perfect. Yeah. Everything is lining up correctly, but the energy has to be correct, has to be right. I mean, you can have mistakes on your paperwork and the ancestors will open the door and let it go through. That's no problem at all. But your energy has to be right. Your attitude has to be right. Otherwise, it's not going to work. Just think of your grandparents saying, we don't act like that. Your energy has to be right. You have to embrace the challenges that are going to come, the test. You know, you can't be promoted to the next grade in the de facto school if you don't pass the test.
Yeah.
And you can't be mad with the teacher if you don't pass. My mom used to say, the teacher already has hers, just sit down and listen and do the test. And so that's what we have to remember. Remember, if you don't remember anything else, the energy must be subdued. No one can subdue the Moors' energy. You have to do it yourself. Islam, I yield.
Yes, yes, Islam. Islam, Empress. Bravo, and thank you for that. Because sometimes, you know, we've seen Moors under the, you know, under the belief that just because they have some documents that everything is supposed to do what it's supposed to do, even though their energy is not what it, you know, they're warring and they're out there doing all types of, you know, attitude, treating people like trash, you know, telling people they have to do what they say because they're the heirs and all that. You know, they do have to do what, you know, what is commanded on the land, but we don't have to treat people like trash. And the thing is, the ancestors are not going to let us treat people like trash. That's the issue. They're not going to allow us to do that because that's not what this is. You know, this is about love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. You know, so thank you for bringing that up because I don't ever want to skip that part because it's the most important part, really. You know, I don't ever want to skip that part. Yes. So thank you for that, Empress. Islam, Empress.
Yes, ma'am. I would love to know, how do we get those papers? Do you send them out, or is there a place to go on the internet to get them? I need them desperately to do my son's papers as well as myself and maybe a couple of the family members.
Well, Empress, I will say this. Be sure that you study the documents before you demonstrate them. And also know that you can't save anyone else, that they actually have to be competent to save themselves. We can assist, and you can assist family members, but you can't do it for them. They have to do it themselves because they have to be competent to demonstrate it. Minor children, you can, but, you know, the older ones, we can't do that for someone else. They have to do it for themselves, and they have to, you know, agree and consent to be themselves because the documents are lawful documents, but they actually have to be able to seek the law as well.
Yeah.
So as far as getting the documents, I'm going to put some of the documents, most of the documents that I've done, I will put them under this video on YouTube. So that I'll put links to them, to these documents under this video on YouTube. So when you go out on YouTube, this video will go out there this evening, and I'll put links to the documents in the comments in the notes section under the video, so that you can just click on the link and download the document and look at it. Okay.
All right. All right. I thank you. But if you have someone that's being held captured,
you can assist them. You can assist them. Yes, absolutely. You can assist them. They just need to declare their nationality, and they can give you consent to, you know, to do their papers and make sure that their papers are in, as long as you have their consent to assist them. You wouldn't be you wouldn't be representing them because no one represents the Moors, but you can assist him definitely and make sure that his documents get to where they need to get to, and all of that. Absolutely.
So does the document go to the Moors place, or do they go to the city to which you reside in, or I mean, just where?
Okay. So I'll tell you that they need to go to any de facto foreigners, commercial mercenaries like fake courts, fake judges, fake policy enforcers pretending to be police, fake jails, fake, you know, all of that. Wherever they're holding him, you know, that they need to, those documents need to go to anyone who's claiming an interest in him being there.
Yes. All right.
Okay, that's where the documents need to go. And then, Empress, do the study on the language and how to use the language, you know, Moorish language. Our language says that we don't reside in a city, but that we are at ancient Morocco. This land is ancient land, you know, because if you say you're a res-ident, res means property, and that means you're identifying as property. And it's things like that. And Empress, don't worry, you'll get it. Just do the study. Just start doing the study on the basics, which is the name change and the judicial proclamation. And those two documents are the great place to learn all that you need to know, because it's going to guide you to other places too, you know.
Yeah.
Okay. Does that assist with what you were asking, Empress?
Pretty much, but for me to do, I'm just saying I'm not incarcerated or kidnapped at this point in time. But when mine is done, where does the papers go? Do they come to you personally, or what and how? That's what I'm not. Okay, with my son, I understand.
Okay. So then with you, you would send it to, there are 7 locations that we send it to. And those 7 locations, if you go on to moorisheamericanconsulate.org website, they have something on the website called a newly nationalized Moors binder. And on moorisheamericanconsulate.org, they have a newly nationalized Moors binder that you can download. It's a free binder right there. It's in PDF format. In other words, you can just click on it and you'll see what's in it. And you look through that, and the first few pages are going to tell you the 7 locations to send it to, so that you notify the de facto that the real government is here. Okay? Yeah. And the real government is you. And us and all of us.
Yeah.
Okay? And so I'll tell you some of those places. One would be the one doing business as state, you know, the Secretary of State. The one, the corpse doing business as Attorney General. The corpse doing business as Donald, you know, President of the United States in capital letters and black ink. The one doing business as governor, you know, of where you are, okay, you're at ancient Morocco, they're pretending they're at the United States Corporation Company. And so you're letting them know that that's not where they are, that they're in your jurisdiction, you're not in theirs, okay? And then the Archbishop, and then the United Nations in all capital letters and in black ink, or even with one capital letter in black ink, you're going to notify them as well that another one of the heirs to the earth's largest estate is awake and governing.
All right.
Does that assist with answering the questions that you had, Empress?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
It's fine. It is an honor to assist the heirs. An honor. I wouldn't trade it for anything. Are there any other questions, comments, anything at all? Okay. So we will, if you look in the chat, Empress Portia has placed a couple of links in the chat for the link to the moorisheamericanconsulate.org website, and then also the grid outline. Empress Portia, can you place the newly nationalized Moors binder, the link to that in the chat as well? It should be right there where when you click on nationality, the newly nationalized Moors binder is going to be right near the name change and judicial proclamation document. That document, Empress, is where you you'll want to look for information on where to send your documents so that you notify everyone. It's going to be important, Empress, that you notify the policy enforcers in your territory who are attempting to, you know, to say that they have some authority on your land.
All right.
Policy enforcers, the ones doing business as sheriff, the ones doing business as, you know, all of that. You want to notify them and just send them copies of your name change and judicial proclamation, letting them know that you're awake.
Is that the name change of Bay,
Yes.
Il, Ali?
Yes, Islam. It is. It's that document.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome, Empress. And then make sure you do your study. Just study as often as you can. Study
Yes,
yourself.
ma'am.
Study all there is to know about you.
Yes,
And I
thank you.
believe you're welcome, Empress. It's an honor. I believe that is all that we have at this point. If there aren't any other questions or comments or anything, we will continue this our congressional meeting on this coming Sunday. At 6 p.m. Eastern Standard or Eastern Time, which is 3 p.m. Pacific Time and 5 p.m. Central. So, having said that, peace and grand rising.
Grand rising.
Peace and grand rising to the more.
Peace and grand rising.
Islam.
Islam. Islam.
Peace and grand rising.
Peace and love. Peace
Islam.
and love.
Islam.
Islam.
Peace and love.
Islam.
Islam.